Okay, we are ready to make our dinosaur calzones. I already have the oven preheated to 450 degrees, and I'm going to chop the onion first. So it says half of a medium onion. So I had about half here from a different recipe that I was doing. So I'm just going to chop this, and then we are going to put it in with the ground beef. So I just cut it into little bites here. Now, I am going to show you how to weigh out the ground beef using a kitchen scale. If you don't have a kitchen scale, this recipe calls for half a pound. So most of the beef that you're going to get is in 1 pound sections. So you will just take half of what is in there. But I'm also going to show you how to use the scale. So I have my skillet over here. So I'm going to put my onion in to the skillet that I chopped up, and now I'm going to show you how to use the kitchen scale to measure the ground beef. So we need a half a pound. So we're going to put a plate, or you can use a bowl or anything on there, and then we need to make sure it's zeroed out. And then we're going to, so we know that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound, so we need 8 ounces of the ground beef. So we just need to put this on the scale until it gets to 8 ounces. So that was 6. It's almost 8 there. It's a little over, and that's okay. So that's a half a pound. We're gonna put it in here, and then we are going to cook the ground beef until it is cooked. So this is remember I was telling you guys about the meat chopper. If you don't have a meat chopper, you can use your turner or your wooden spoon to cook the ground beef. The dough. So I have already done 2 cups of dough, or of the mix, the Bisquick mix. So I'm just going to pour it in and then still level it off like we do for flour. So the baking mix is like flour. Okay? So I already did 2 cups, so that was my 2.5 cups. Then I need 3 tablespoons of oil. So remember, even though it's a liquid, we're going to measure it in our measuring spoon since it's small amount. So there's 1. I'm measuring it over this. 2, 3. And then for the water, we need 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to measure my 1/4 cup. Measure that at eye level over here, and then I'm going to measure the 2 tablespoons as well, because it says 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. And then we're going to mix this with the fork. There's 1, 2, and let's see how see, that's a little more than 1/4 cup. There we go. Okay, now we have the 1/4 cup. Okay, so let's come back over here. Let's put this stuff away. And we are going to use our fork and mix up the dough. So we're making the dough here. I'm just going to come over here and chop my ground beef some too. That's almost done cooking. The ground beef, we know it's done when there's no more pink, it's all brown. Okay, we're making the dough here. So you're going to use your fork to mix the dough up. And then it says save about 1/4 of the dough. We're going to sprinkle, this is my clean surface with flour. And we're going to roll that out to about 12 inches thick. So we need, as soon as you can, get this to, you can use your hands to start mixing it. See how I'm starting to just use my hands to get it into a ball of dough. If it's really dry, you might have to add a teeny bit more water. But first try to use your hands. See how I was able to use my hands and get it into a ball of dough. So if it's really dry, you can add a little bit of water, but see, I just used my hands and I was able to make it into a ball of dough. All right, so then it says save about a quarter of the dough. So once we get it into our dough ball, we're going to just take about a quarter of it, about like this, and we're going to save that off to the side. I'm going to use that for our spikes for our dinosaur. And then we're going to flour this surface here. And we're going to use our rolling pin to roll this out. Flour our surface. We're going to roll it into a circle here. So that's the part we're going to set off to the side. And put this here, and we're going to roll this into a circle. Let me check my ground beef here. Yep, that's about done. And I have the 93.7, so there's not a lot of grease here, but I'll show you about draining the grease here in just a minute. So that's all cooked, so I'm going to turn that off while I'm rolling this out. You're going to roll this into a circle and place this on the cookie sheet over there. All right, so now I'm going to drain the grease. So what you can do, now you don't want to put the grease down the drain. You're going to pour it into colander. See how I have some foil in here? So that eventually when it hardens, I can just throw that right in the garbage. So you're going to take your ground beef and onion mixture in the colander. And then what I do is I just take a paper towel and kind of pat out the grease. So then when all the grease goes through, it's going into the foil lined pan. So that eventually, like I said, when the grease hardens, then you can just throw the hardened grease in the garbage. Okay, so let me throw that away. Now we're gonna put this back in the pan, and then we're gonna add our pizza sauce, which I already have measured. Okay, so we're done with all this. I already have the pizza sauce measured, 1/3 cup of pizza sauce. You're gonna add that right into here, mix it up, and then we're gonna add that onto our calzone. So I'll show you guys. So we're gonna mix the pizza sauce in there. Okay, there we go. That is ready to go. If you want to add some other stuff to your calzone, you can. Then over here, I have rolled out the dough minus the 1/4 of it. I got it as best as I could in a circle. So just get it as best as you can into a circle, and then you're gonna put it on your cookie sheet. Okay, so you're gonna roll that out, get it onto your cookie sheet as best you can, and then eventually we're gonna fold this over. So even if you need a little bit thinner, you can kind of roll that out, because we're gonna add the mixture with our cheese here in just a minute. Okay, next we're gonna put this in with the cheese. I'm gonna put this down here. Now, the recipe says cheddar cheese. Daniel and Nathan like cheddar and mozzarella, so we're gonna put a little bit of both in here. So that is something that you can decide if you want the cheddar or the mozzarella. So we're gonna do a little bit of each. So we put some cheddar there, some mozzarella. Okay, and then you're gonna pull this over. So we're making the dinosaur, like the body of the dinosaur here. Okay, and you want it to, if there's some that's coming out, then we might end up just try to push that all in. If you have a little bit here, you could, let's see, and try to seal it down. Okay, you want to seal that in. There we go. I'm going to move all this off. Okay. And then you're just going to use this dough to make the spikes and the head of your dinosaur. So we're just going to seal that up here. So we need to seal a little bit. Then you're going to take this and you're going to make the spikes. I'll show you the spikes. So you're going to make these into kind of like a triangle. And I'll show you how we're going to put those on using an egg in just a minute. Okay, so let me show you the egg part, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the end process, because you're also going to put the tail and the head on using the same egg wash. So the head and the tail are going to be a little bit longer and skinnier, so you guys can be creative here. So we put the tail on the dinosaur. Look at that, dinosaur tail right there. Put the head on, and then so with the egg, okay, you're just using egg whites with your pastry brush. So to separate the eggs, there's two different ways you can do it. If you have an egg separator, like I do, you just put that on here, crack it. The yolk will go into that center part, and then the white will go down in the bottom. Okay, so then we can just throw out the yolk or put it in a different bowl there. And then you're gonna use this as your glue. You use this to glue this on. Okay, so this will make it more sticky. And you just use that to glue on the spikes. Okay, so I will come back and show you the end. I'm gonna use this to make spikes and a head, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like before we bake it. Okay. All right, now I wanna show you the other way if you don't have the egg separator to do your egg whites and your yolks. So you're gonna crack the egg, but careful, and you're going to let the white part come out, and you're just gonna go back and forth with the yolk in the shell until the white part drains out there, and then you can have the whites there. So if you don't have the egg separator, it's okay. You can just use the shell. Okay, so now I'm gonna use the egg white to basically glue on. You guys see how I have the tail and the legs? Oh, the legs, whoa, there we go, okay. So you're gonna use the egg wash, it's called, as a glue, because it'll make your dough kind of sticky and then it sticks together. Okay, and then you're just gonna do the egg wash all over your calzone. You'll see when I take it out, it's gonna give it a nice brown on the top. So we're gonna try to use the egg wash as the glue for the legs. Look at those legs. So we have the legs, we have the head, the tail, and the spikes. So here's our dinosaur. And then, like I said, just use the rest of the egg white and your pastry brush, and you're gonna brush this over your dinosaur. Then you're gonna bake for 15 to 20 minutes until it is golden brown. And here is our finished dinosaur calzone.